There comes a moment when every man must decide what he would rather possess: the comfort of being liked or the power of being respected. The world will tell you that kindness wins hearts, that love is the path to loyalty. But hearts are fickle, and loyalty built on affection collapses the moment you fail to please. Respect, on the other hand, is built upon the recognition of necessity, and necessity is immortal. You cannot rule hearts that crave your approval. To be liked is to be enslaved to the moods of others. To be respected is to command them despite their moods. When people like you, they see you as one of them. When they respect you, they see you as something beyond them, someone they must measure themselves against. Respect begins where desire for approval ends. It grows from the soil of boundaries, from the ability to say no when the world demands yes. The leader who seeks affection will always kneel to the crowd. The one who seeks respect teaches the crowd to kneel before discipline. The art of power is not about cruelty, it is about clarity. A ruler must know the weight of every gesture, every silence, every concession. When you are feared just enough, you do not need to raise your voice. When you are respected, your presence itself becomes command. There is no throne without distance. The ruler who sits too close to his subjects will one day find his seat empty. Familiarity breeds contempt because it kills mystery, and mystery is the armor of authority. Never let those beneath you think they have measured your soul. Leave a shadow they cannot grasp, a depth they can sense but not define. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be obeyed. Understanding belongs to friendship. Obedience belongs to power. The ruler who demands to be understood soon finds himself explaining rather than commanding. Compassion, when guided by reason, is strategy. Compassion, when guided by insecurity, is weakness. The wise man helps others because it strengthens his order. The fool helps others because he fears their disapproval. One rules from calculation, the other from guilt, and only one survives. Do not confuse mercy with softness. Mercy is a weapon used with precision. It cuts only when it serves the state. A man who forgives everything ends up encouraging the very evils he sought to cure. Mercy without justice is treason to order. The crowd loves the image of kindness, but obeys the fact of strength. They may sing of love, but they kneel before authority. The wise ruler gives them both the illusion of affection and the certainty of command. Appear gentle, but hold the capacity for wrath. Smile often, but never forget that every smile is a mask for strategy. Your image must be a fortress. Guard it as you would your kingdom. In politics, perception is armor, and weakness in image is a breach that no virtue can repair. Do not be naive. Goodness is rarely visible. Strength always is. The world judges by what it sees, not by what you intend. It is better to be feared than loved, not because fear is greater, but because fear is more reliable. Love shifts with circumstance. Fear endures through disappointment. Yet the most powerful man is not the one feared for his cruelty, but the one feared for his competence, the ruler whose judgment cannot be swayed by affection or outrage. Understand this. People are loyal only when it benefits them. They will stand by you in peace but vanish in crisis. Therefore, build your foundation not on their emotions, but on their interests. Align their gain with your survival, and they will protect you to protect themselves. Never reveal your full intent. Mystery is leverage. The more predictable you become, the easier it is for others to weaken your hand. Speak less than you know. Promise less than you plan. Act more than you announce. The silent mind commands louder than the talkative fool. In politics, truth is often a luxury. Appear honest, even when you must conceal. Appear humble, even when you command. Appear generous, even when you calculate. Appear moral, even when you strategize. Appear human, even when you operate like fate itself. The crowd sees appearance, only history sees reality. The man who tries to please everyone ends up betrayed by everyone. He makes peace with his enemies and loses the trust of his allies. The ruler who stands firm, who draws clear lines, who chooses decisively, even when hated commands, respect even from those who despise him. You must learn to be hated without collapsing. The weak crumble under contempt, The strong understand that being hated is part of being effective. Hatred is the tax you pay for power. It is proof that you have taken a side, your own. Never waste energy defending your reputation to those who have already judged you. Their hatred is not your problem. Their obedience is. History remembers the victorious, not the agreeable. Let your results speak. Let your enemies choke on your silence. Power is not taken, it is cultivated. Every decision, every alliance, every betrayal is a seed planted in the soil of perception. Plant wisely, and time will grow your legend. But never mistake influence for permanence. Power, like fire, must be constantly fed with vigilance, with intelligence, with the will to act when others hesitate. Do not expect fairness from the world. Expect resistance, expect deception, expect betrayal. To rule is to live in a storm, not in sunlight. Yet the storm is where strength is forged. A man who fears conflict is unfit to lead. A man who welcomes it shapes destiny itself. The greatest mistake of the modern leader is his need to be morally consistent. Life is not consistent. The state is not consistent. What preserves order today may destroy it tomorrow. Learn to adapt faster than morality can judge you. The world does not reward purity. It rewards effectiveness. Those who preach virtue rarely have the burden of command. It is easy to love peace when one does not have to maintain it. It is easy to condemn violence when one's safety is guaranteed by those willing to fight. Remember, moral lectures are the privilege of the protected. The ruler must deal in realities, not ideals. You cannot lead by transparency alone. Every ruler needs secrets not to deceive the people, but to protect them from the complexity of truth. The masses crave certainty, not nuance. Give them direction, not deliberation. Appear decisive, even when uncertain. Appear confident, even when calculating. The appearance of control is often more important than control itself. Understand that politics is theater, and you are both actor and playwright. The stage must never go dark. The people must always believe they are watching the performance of strength, justice, and destiny, even if behind the curtain, the machinery runs on compromise and manipulation. Fear is not evil. It is an instrument. The wise ruler uses fear as a boundary, not a weapon of cruelty. It teaches respect. It prevents chaos. It holds the state together when affection dissolves. Those who reject fear entirely will one day rule nothing, for the world respects only what can defend itself. To lead, you must master solitude. Leadership is not a chorus of approval. It is a dialogue with necessity. You will walk alone through decisions that others cannot understand, through betrayals that would break ordinary men. Solitude is not punishment. It is purification. It burns away illusions, leaving only clarity. Betrayal is the currency of power. You will be betrayed, and you will betray not from malice, but from inevitability. Alliances are temporary instruments of purpose. The wise man uses them fully, then releases them without regret. Loyalty has limits, strategy does not. In every age, power hides behind masks. In ancient times, the crown. Today, the corporation, the office, the image, yet the essence remains. Control the flow of fear and hope, and you control the masses. People crave leadership because they crave direction, even if it leads them into chains. Do not seek to be loved for your virtues. Be remembered for your results. The crowd does not understand complexity, they remember strength. They will hate you in life and honor you in history. That is the price of greatness. The modern world has confused empathy with weakness. To understand others is not to surrender to them. It is to know how to move them, how to bend their will without breaking their loyalty. Compassion in the hands of a ruler must be strategic, not sentimental. The state does not care about your feelings. It cares about stability. The ruler who places emotion above order will destroy both. Feel deeply, but rule coldly. The heart may feel pity, but the hand must act with precision. One must be both lion and fox. The lion to frighten the wolves, the fox to outwit the traps. Strength without cunning is crushed by deceit. Cunning without strength is devoured by force. The union of both is the architecture of survival. You must learn to lie with dignity, to conceal with elegance, to act with calculation so natural it feels like instinct. This is not hypocrisy, it is artistry. Politics is not about truth, it is about control of truth. Never reveal your fear. Never reveal your desperation. The mask of calm is worth more than the truth of panic. The moment your enemies sense anxiety, they will strike. Power is an illusion, but it is an illusion that must never break. Understand this. Those who appear good are rarely effective. Those who appear strong are rarely pure. Yet history belongs to those who act, not to those who moralize. You cannot be both loved and powerful in a world built on competition. Choose wisely. Stop seeking approval. Stop chasing affection. Begin commanding respect. For only in respect does your power endure when love fades, when loyalty falters, when fear grows silent. To be liked is temporary. To be respected is immortal. Power is a silent hunger that grows in the shadows of indecision. Most men never understand it because they fear what it demands of them. To grasp power is to accept isolation, to live without applause, to be misunderstood by those who once admired you. The hand that governs must not tremble at judgment. You are not born to be fair. You are born to be effective. Those who pursue fairness in a world built on hierarchy soon become victims of their own virtue. The world does not reward balance. It rewards dominance. Leadership is not the art of being right. It is the art of staying necessary. The ruler who is no longer needed is already dead in the eyes of his people. Keep them dependent on your stability, on your vision, on your protection from chaos. The moment they believe they can live without you, they will. Power survives not by love, not by fear alone, but by indispensability. You must become the axis around which all things turn, the gravity that holds weaker bodies in orbit. The tragedy of democracy is that it convinces men they are free while binding them to invisible chains. The tragedy of tyranny is that it makes men obey out of terror. The wise ruler blends both illusions, freedom of choice, and fear of collapse. People do not need the truth. They need a story that keeps them aligned. And the ruler, if he is truly wise, becomes the storyteller of necessity. Every era changes its costume, but the play remains the same. There will always be rulers and subjects, hunters and prey, manipulators and believers. The language shifts from crowns to contracts, from swords to screens, but the essence does not. Human nature is a loop of ambition and submission, endlessly disguising itself as progress. Men say they desire liberty, but they crave direction. They despise control, yet they wait for someone strong enough to impose it. That is why history repeats. It is written not in the laws of states, but in the instincts of men. To rule is to understand the pulse of fear. Fear is the most honest emotion. It cannot be reasoned away, and it cannot be disguised for long. If you know what people fear, you can predict their behavior better than they can themselves. Fear of loss, fear of insignificance, fear of failure. These are the levers of nations and individuals alike. Touch them carefully. Never remove them entirely. A man without fear becomes ungovernable. You must become a mirror of their hopes, but the keeper of their limits. Let them dream through your speeches, but bind them through your laws. Give them the illusion of movement while directing every step. The crowd must never feel the leash. They must mistake it for freedom. Power that is visible too clearly breeds rebellion. Power that feels like choice breeds loyalty. Every alliance is an act of deception. Nations ally for peace, but always prepare for betrayal. Friends smile until resources run low. In politics, love ends when interest dies. You must learn to smile with those who would destroy you and dine with those you intend to betray. The table of diplomacy is set with knives hidden beneath napkins. The wine of peace is often poured from barrels of deceit. Yet it is not cynicism, it is arithmetic. The balance of interests sustains peace longer than sentiment ever could. Never announce war before you've already won it. Strategy is not in movement, but in silence. The most dangerous opponent is not the one who shouts, but the one who watches. Learn to be invisible until action is unavoidable. The fox knows the lion's strength, but the lion never suspects the fox's patience. delay can be more lethal than confrontation. Let others exhaust their virtue in noise, while you sharpen your blade in stillness. Every ruler must wear masks: the mask of humility before the powerful, the mask of compassion before the weak, the mask of wisdom before the ignorant. Masks are not lies, they are instruments. Without them, the truth would blind those who follow you. A leader without disguise is devoured by exposure. Transparency is a virtue for those without enemies. The powerful must be opaque, like deep water, calm on the surface, dark beneath. Morality is a luxury that power cannot afford in its purest form. What the moral man calls evil, the ruler calls necessary. What the philosopher calls deception, the statesman calls survival. The world is not governed by ideals, but by forces, and ideals only serve as their clothing. Do not seek to change human nature, harness it. Men will always envy, betray, desire, and deceive. Use their passions as sails rather than fighting their winds. The one who tries to moralize the storm drowns in it. A ruler must understand betrayal not as failure, but as signal. When men betray you, they reveal where your power ends. Do not curse them, study them. Each betrayal exposes a weakness in your system. To be betrayed twice for the same reason is not misfortune, it is incompetence. Learn from the serpent. Shed your skin without mourning. Grow sharper with every loss. In exile, a man discovers who he truly is. Power is easy when surrounded by followers. It is pure when stripped of applause. When you have lost everything and still desire to command, then you are fit to rule. For only in solitude do you learn the anatomy of will, the discipline to rise again without witnesses. Exile cleanses ambition of vanity. It turns power from performance into instinct. Men will test your patience, not to see if you are kind, but to see if you are weak. When your boundaries are crossed, answer not with rage, but with precision. Power is not the volume of your reaction, it is the control of it. The calm man in chaos terrifies those who depend on noise. Rage burns quickly, authority endures in silence. The most dangerous illusion of leadership is the belief in permanent victory. Power is not kept, it is constantly reasserted. Every day, new rivals are born, new alliances decay, new dangers arise. Rest is the luxury of those who serve. For those who command, rest is surrender. The moment you relax, someone else is rehearsing your downfall. Respect does not come from words, but from consequences. People respect what costs them something. They respect the law that punishes, the leader who disciplines, the boundary that resists negotiation. To be respected, you must make disobedience expensive. To be feared wisely, you must make fear feel rational. Respect grows not from cruelty, but from the consistency of consequence. You must learn to calculate loyalty the way a merchant calculates profit. Every ally is an investment. Every favor has interest. Every debt has risk. The art of ruling is the art of balancing accounts, knowing when to pay, when to forgive, and when to collect. Never grant loyalty for free. Those who did not earn it will sell it easily. The modern prince rules not through armies, but through information. Control perception, and you control nations. The battlefields have shifted from land to narrative, from blood to belief. The new wars are fought through symbols, through algorithms, through the manipulation of attention. He who owns the story owns the state. The ruler who neglects image is dethroned by rumor. The empire of the future will be invisible, governed by those who understand how to bend perception to power. Every man believes he sees reality. In truth, he sees reflection. The ruler does not show truth, he shapes reflection. The wise leader knows that control of language is control of thought. Change the words people use, and you change what they believe. Let them argue endlessly over terms while you adjust the meanings beneath them. Crisis is the true measure of leadership. In peace, anyone can appear wise. But when fear rises, masks fall, and instincts reveal hierarchy. A leader's calm in crisis is worth more than 1,000 promises. The people do not need perfection. They need the illusion that someone still knows what to do. In their panic, they will trade freedom for the safety of command. The greatest strategist appears least emotional. Passion excites followers but clouds judgment. To command requires cold fire, the ability to feel deeply but act rationally. Emotion fuels purpose, but calculation executes it. You may bleed inside, but your hand must remain steady. There will come a day when you must choose between your values and your survival. That is the day you will meet yourself. Many rulers fall not from weakness, but from guilt. They confuse conscience with wisdom, but the conscience of a ruler must be guided by the needs of the state, not by the fragility of sentiment. A single act of mercy at the wrong time can cost the lives of thousands. Remember, history does not forgive hesitation. It does not honor purity. It remembers only those who acted when others waited. To lead is to accept that some decisions will stain your hands, yet preserve the body of the nation. Blood, if spilled for order, is not a sin, but a necessity. And still, beneath it all, a whisper remains the burden of power. For every command you give, you lose a piece of peace. For every deception you weave, you carry a hidden weight. You will not sleep as others do. You will not laugh as freely. But you will understand something they never will. That order itself is not born from virtue, but from control. So stop seeking to be liked. The world does not need more agreeable men. It needs those willing to see as it truly is, to stand in the cold clarity of reality, unshaken by praise or blame. Respect will outlast affection, discipline will outlive popularity, and necessity will always be the final judge of men. This is the secret all rulers learn too late. The greatest power is not in commanding others, but in mastering yourself. Control your tongue, your anger, your need to please. Control your image, your silence, your timing. The man who governs himself can govern empires. The man who cannot govern himself will beg for the approval of slaves. Continue to walk through this world as if through a chessboard of moving shadows. Every smile may hide a knife. Every compliment may be bait. Yet you must not fear it. See it, understand it, accept it. This is the nature of men. And once you accept it without hatred, you will begin to rule not only others, but reality itself. Respect is not granted by affection. It is earned through consequence, through endurance, through control. Those who love you may forget you. Those who fear you may betray you. But those who respect you will remember you long after both love and fear have faded. That is the dark power of respect, and it is the only kind that endures. The pursuit of respect begins with the rejection of vanity. Vanity demands constant affirmation, while respect thrives in restraint. The moment you begin to chase validation, you expose your hunger, and hunger invites manipulation. Those who can be flattered can be conquered. Never allow praise to intoxicate you, nor insult to awaken your rage. The ruler who reacts reveals his strength. The ruler who observes without movement turns every attack into revelation. The world is a theater of motives. Every smile conceals an agenda. Every friendship conceals a transaction. This is not cynicism, it is anatomy. To rule is to diagnose, not to dream. The wise man listens to words but studies incentives. Never judge what people say. Judge what they gain by saying it. Power is not about trust, it is about calculation. Even loyalty has a cost. Even faith must be measured. Do not confuse honesty with transparency. Honesty is strength. Transparency is exposure. The lion is honest about his nature, yet the jungle never sees him coming. To be transparent in politics is to invite attack. You owe the world results, not explanations. Speak only when speech strengthens your position. Silence, when used correctly, is the most elegant form of power. It leaves others guessing, interpreting, fearing what you might be thinking. That uncertainty is control. Those who rely on morality to survive are like soldiers who march into battle armed with poetry. Morality has its place, but it is not a shield, it is a costume. Wear it when needed, remove it when it limits you. The ruler's virtue must be adaptable, not absolute. A virtue that cannot bend will shatter under necessity, and necessity, not morality, is the god of politics. The strong understand the weight of appearances. Image is not illusion, it is architecture. Nations are built not only on power, but on perception. Once the people believe in your image, they will defend it even against the evidence of their own eyes. That is the paradox of leadership. The lie, if consistent, becomes a kind of truth. The ruler must therefore manage symbols as carefully as armies. The flag, the title, the silence between words, these are the true weapons of statecraft. Fear, when controlled, creates order. When uncontrolled, it creates rebellion. Use it as a sculptor uses clay. Shape it, never drown in it. The goal is not to terrify, but to remind of consequences, of structure, of inevitability. People must never feel they are slaves, but they must also never forget who commands. The moment fear turns to hatred, the ruler has gone too far. The moment love turns to entitlement, he has gone too soft. The balance between both is the razor upon which empires survive. History is written by those who act decisively in moments of hesitation. The crowd forgives cruelty faster than weakness. A single act of firmness can silence years of doubt. Do not mistake popularity for security. The mob cheers today and riots tomorrow. Only stability protects, and stability is born from discipline, not applause. Every generation thinks itself morally superior to the last. Every generation believes it has transcended power, yet power merely changes its uniform. Yesterday it wore armor, today it wears algorithms. Yesterday it conquered land, today it conquers thought. The same hunger moves beneath it the will to influence, to define, to decide. The modern prince is not the man with armies, but the one with access to minds. The battlefield now is invisible, and those who cannot see it are already defeated. Control the narrative, and you control the future. Those who tell the story define what is true. The ruler who neglects narrative will find himself ruled by it. Words are not harmless. They are instruments of domination. The one who shapes language shapes reality itself. Therefore, guard your words and study the words of others. Every slogan, every virtue, every outcry hides a power structure. You must see through them all, even your own. You will be hated for your clarity. People prefer comforting lies to unbearable truths. They will call you cruel when you are honest, arrogant when you are firm, heartless when you are just. Let them speak. History will silence them when your decisions outlive their emotions. The ruler must not seek to be understood by the living, but to be vindicated by the dead. Only time understands necessity. Manipulation is not evil. It is the language of survival. To influence is to protect order. The masses cannot all know the plan. They cannot all see the machinery. You must guide them through illusion, because truth in full measure would paralyze them. The farmer does not tell the sheep of the wolf's proximity, he guides them with calm authority. Leadership, too, is the art of containment through direction. There are moments when violence becomes the last instrument of reason. When persuasion fails, force clarifies. This does not mean delight in brutality. It means understanding that order demands guardians. A surgeon cuts to heal. A ruler strikes to preserve. The danger lies not in using force, but in using it without purpose. Violence that sustains structure is discipline. Violence that serves ego is chaos. Weak rulers confuse mercy with approval. They forgive to be seen as noble. But mercy, like gold, loses value when given freely. The wise ruler's mercy is deliberate, rare, and memorable. Mercy without discipline breeds disobedience. A man forgiven too often forgets his guilt. Forgiveness must never be a habit. It must be a warning. Every man you elevate can one day betray you. That is not tragedy. It is the tax of command. You will build men who later turn their strength against you. Do not mourn it. Anticipate it. Keep each subordinate loyal to you only through divided interest. No single man should hold enough power to defy you without losing everything he values. Unity among the ambitious is an illusion. The ruler's task is to keep it that way. Do not mistake confidence for recklessness. The greatest rulers move slowly in appearance, but swiftly in mind. They let their enemies reveal impatience. The rash man burns his strategy in public. The patient man allows arrogance to expose itself. Victory often comes not from force, but from waiting for your opponent's illusion to collapse. The art of power is the art of restraint disguised as inevitability. The highest form of control is invisibility. The hand that moves the world is the one no one sees. When people act according to your design yet believe it was their own idea, you have mastered governance. This is the pinnacle of influence, not command, but alignment. Let others believe they are free while following the path you have drawn. Freedom, properly guided, is the most efficient form of obedience. Do not seek admiration. Admiration fades when proximity grows. The more they know of you, the less they will revere you. Keep a sacred distance between your presence and their familiarity. The unseen king commands more reverence than the accessible one. Power lives in absence as much as in action. The mystery of distance magnifies authority. Exposure dissolves it. Learn to endure silence. There will be nights when the world misunderstands you, when allies doubt you, when every decision feels like betrayal. Endure it. Silence will carve your clarity. Isolation will become your weapon. For the ruler, loneliness is not punishment, it is purification. From solitude, vision is born. The human soul is built for struggle. Without opposition, even kings decay. Power stagnates when it is not challenged. Therefore, do not eliminate all enemies. Keep a few alive, they sharpen your strategy. Remind you of vigilance, preserve your hunger. The enemy outside keeps the ruler within awake. The great danger of long rule is comfort. Comfort blinds the intellect, dulls ambition, and replaces vigilance with vanity. The ruler who surrounds himself with flatterers becomes deaf to truth. And when truth is silenced, decay begins silently beneath the gold. To stay powerful, you must stay alert, uncomfortable, unfulfilled. The hunger that built your throne must never sleep. Those who wish to lead must first master perception of weakness, not to exploit cruelty, but to prevent it from being used against them. Know your own weaknesses intimately. Study them as you would study your enemies. The man who hides his flaws from himself will one day see them exploited by others. The man who owns them cannot be blackmailed. Self-knowledge is not peace, it is armor. Respect grows strongest from inevitability. When others realize they cannot ignore you, cannot defeat you, cannot replace you, they bow not from affection, but from recognition. The ruler's authority must feel like gravity, silent, inescapable, unquestionable. When you reach that point, you will no longer need to demand respect. You will embody it. And in that embodiment, a strange truth emerges. The ruler's heart is neither cruel nor kind. It simply understands that human nature does not change. Men will always seek pleasure, flee pain, and worship power. The wise ruler uses these laws without apology, for he knows they are not inventions, they are the foundation of order itself. To rule is to see clearly, to act decisively, to walk alone. You will be loved briefly, feared frequently, respected rarely, and yet, if you are wise, you will endure eternally. Because the world does not remember those who were loved, it remembers those who held it together when love was not enough. That is the dark power of respect. It is not warmth, but gravity. It does not ask to be liked, it demands to be acknowledged. And when the lights fade, when applause ends, and when every smiling ally turns away, respect will still stand beside you, cold, unyielding, immortal. Respect is a quiet crown. It makes no noise, yet it changes the atmosphere around you. Those who possess it do not beg for attention. They draw it without effort. Respect is born not from charm, but from consequence. It arises when your actions align with your intent so precisely that others feel your presence before you speak. You become the unspoken law in the room, the invisible authority whose silence weighs heavier than the words of lesser men. To maintain this aura, you must live in discipline. Discipline is the backbone of every command, the unseen hand that steadies power when temptation whispers. The undisciplined ruler is a fool dressed in silk, impressive in appearance, hollow in substance. Control yourself before you control others, for if you cannot command your own impulses, you will forever dance to the tune of those who can manipulate them. The first empire to conquer is always the self. There is a kind of intelligence in restraint that few understand. When provoked, the weak rush to defend their pride, but the strong calculate the cost. To react is to surrender control. To wait is to seize it. Patience is not passivity, it is preparation. The storm does not apologize for its silence before destruction. You must learn to carry that stillness. Those who lead must also learn the art of selective blindness. Not every insult deserves attention, not every rumor deserves response. To see everything is to drown in it. Let small fires burn themselves out while you guard the flame that matters. The ruler who wastes energy on trivial enemies reveals insecurity. The ruler who ignores them becomes a mystery. Mystery is authority's shadow without it. Power becomes too human, too reachable. You will be tempted to prove your goodness. Resist it. Goodness that announces itself is vanity. The true ruler does not speak of virtue. He acts in alignment with necessity and lets others label it as they wish. Appear just, but be strategic. Appear moral, but remain effective. Appear gentle, but be unyielding. The world rewards appearance far more than substance, but only those who master both survive its theater. Every decision you make will divide the world. Some will call you savior, others tyrant. Accept both. To lead is to live in the tension between admiration and condemnation. The man who seeks universal approval will betray his purpose. Leadership is not about comfort, it is about consequence. The ruler who tries to please everyone will eventually serve no one. Power must never apologize for existing. Weak men despise it because it reminds them of what they could not become. They will disguise envy as morality, incompetence as virtue, and fear as wisdom. Let them speak. Their words are the noise of those who never dared to act. Power is the proof of courage, the visible scar of responsibility that others refuse to carry. Do not confuse empathy with surrender. To understand others is to hold the map of their minds. It gives you advantage, not obligation. The ruler must know the pains, desires, and illusions of his people, not to share them, but to steer them. To lead effectively, you must see the world as it is for them, and yet never lose sight of what it must be for you. Compassion without command is chaos. Command without compassion is collapse. Only balance breeds endurance. The wise ruler surrounds himself not with flatterers, but with mirrors men who dare to reflect the truth. Flattery intoxicates, but truth sharpens. Build a circle of minds that challenge you quietly, rather than a crowd of mouths that praise you loudly. For when the storm arrives, the truth you ignored will return as judgment. Power must be renewed through movement. When it stagnates, it decays. Create challenges before they arise. Introduce controlled crises to test loyalty and sharpen discipline. The ruler who waits for chaos to strike is already its victim. Rule through rhythm, moments of peace to lull the crowd, moments of tension to remind them of your necessity. The dance between fear and calm is the heartbeat of order. Remember that corruption begins not in greed, but in fatigue. When the ruler grows tired of vigilance, he opens the door to decay. Power demands wakefulness. Even in victory, remain restless. Even in safety, suspect weakness. Comfort is the camouflage of decline. The moment you believe your throne is secure, it begins to vanish beneath you. You will often face the temptation of sentiment, the wish to rule through affection, to soften the edges of command. But affection fades, while respect deepens. Love is built on emotion, respect on recognition. Love ends when feelings shift. Respect endures through fear, through time, through distance. One day they may stop loving you, but they will still measure themselves against your shadow. Do not mistake silence for peace. A calm society may be simmering beneath the surface. True order is not the absence of noise, it is the presence of structure. The wise ruler listens beneath appearances. He hears discontent in praise, ambition in cooperation, rebellion in loyalty. Every smile conceals a motive. Every silence conceals a thought. Rule by listening not to words, but to pattern. Your greatest enemy is not the rival who opposes you, but the version of yourself that desires ease. When you begin to seek comfort, you begin to lose sharpness. Power decays not in battle, but in luxury. The bed of success is the grave of vigilance. Therefore, live as if every victory must be defended by dawn. Remain vigilant even in celebration. In politics, there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. You may share a table today and face each other in war tomorrow. Never confuse alliance with affection. Trust is a tool, not a virtue. Extend it as far as it serves you. Withdraw it when it threatens you. Sentimentality has no place in survival. It is better to disappoint the world than to betray your principles of strength. The masses demand warmth. The advisors demand wisdom. The rivals demand weakness. Give none of them what they expect. To lead is to live in defiance of comfort. Those who understand this truth rise above the tides of history. Those who forget it drown in applause. Every throne is borrowed time. The question is not how long you will rule, but what will remain when you are gone. Will your laws outlast your body? Will your discipline outlive your name? Immortality is not granted through love or worship, but through structure. The wise ruler builds a system stronger than sentiment, a legacy rooted not in emotion but in endurance. And yet, remember this: no empire, no dynasty, no republic has ever truly escaped the gravity of decay. The ruler's task is not to defeat decay, but to delay it, to carve order into the chaos long enough for civilization to breathe. That is the only victory that history respects. Not eternal reign, but meaningful duration. In the end, when the banners fade and the court grows silent, you will find yourself alone again with your conscience, your decisions, your shadow. And you will ask the same question every ruler asks in the dark: was it worth it? The answer, if you have ruled with clarity, will not come from applause or memory, but from the cold certainty that without your will, chaos would have prevailed. Respect, not love, will whisper your name through time. It will echo not in the hearts of the sentimental, but in the minds of those who understand what it takes to hold the world together. To be liked is to be forgotten. To be respected is to become legend. And that, in the end, is the quiet truth every ruler must face. Greatness is never gentle, and necessity is never kind. But both, if mastered, can shape eternity. Consider Caesar. He was loved by the people, feared by the Senate, and respected by his soldiers. But his fall came not from hatred, it came from affection misplaced. He trusted the sentiment of those who smiled too easily. He forgot that the dagger is rarely held by the enemy shouting your name. It is held by the friend whispering it. The ruler who builds trust on love alone builds his palace on sand. Affection shifts, ambition does not. Caesar's death was not a tragedy of politics. It was a lesson in the mathematics of loyalty. Alexander conquered worlds by force, yet his true power came from vision. His men followed not because they adored him, but because he made them feel part of destiny. They feared failing him more than dying for him. That is the alchemy of respect. It fuses fear and admiration into a single obedience. He rewarded loyalty with glory, but he punished betrayal with obliteration. The world remembers him not for his kindness, but for his certainty. Even the cunning of Richelieu teaches the same law. He understood that the king may wear the crown, but power rests in the one who shapes decisions. Richelieu never sought love, he sought indispensability. He made himself the mind of the monarchy, so essential that to remove him was to paralyze the state. The crowd cursed him, the nobles feared him, and yet France endured under his invisible hand. To be respected is to be irreplaceable. In modern times, the battlefield has changed its terrain, but not its nature. The ruler's weapons are no longer swords and fleets, but information and persuasion. Consider the leader who controls the story rather than the army. The masses think themselves free, yet their thoughts march in patterns he designed. He does not suppress opinion, he manufactures it. Through image, symbol, and silence, he directs desire. That is the evolution of statecraft, not to conquer bodies, but to shape belief. A corporation functions by the same law as a kingdom. The executive who seeks to be loved by his subordinates loses authority. But the one who commands through consistent precision, who makes his presence synonymous with competence, commands devotion. People trust power that keeps its promises, even when it disciplines. They follow structure before they follow smiles. It is no different in government, in armies, or in households. Everywhere hierarchy survives, respect governs affection. In the theater of war, respect is the difference between a commander and a corpse. A general who asks his soldiers to like him will soon find himself buried among them. But the commander who enforces discipline even in the face of resentment survives to see peace. Soldiers do not follow warmth, they follow certainty. They must believe their leader will not hesitate when the world burns. Compassion at the wrong time is cruelty to the many. History whispers also of Catherine of Russia, a woman who ruled men in an empire that doubted her. She did not argue her right to power, she demonstrated it. While her rivals schemed through sentiment, she built alliances through calculation. She understood the simple geometry of rule: appear gracious, strike efficiently, and never let weakness become public. Her reign outlasted those who called her unfit, for in politics reputation is noise, but endurance is proof. In the fall of kingdoms, we find recurring errors: leaders who confuse popularity with stability, virtue with strength, idealism with foresight. The Weimar Republic sought to be liked by all factions and pleased none. Its compromise became its undoing. Weak leadership does not breed peace, it breeds predators. When authority hesitates, opportunists emerge to claim it. The vacuum of respect is always filled by the ruthless. The same truth plays out in the smallest corners of modern life. The teacher who seeks to be liked by students loses discipline in the classroom. The parent who fears being disliked by their child raises rebellion instead of respect. The manager who befriends every subordinate soon discovers mutiny in meetings. Leadership at any scale requires distance. Boundaries create structure, and structure creates trust. The soft leader collapses beneath the weight of trying to be loved. Observe the fall of corporations, of movements, of nations, always the same pattern: the decay of discipline disguised as compassion. When a ruler begins to crave admiration, decisions become emotional. The edge dulls, standards lower. The machinery of authority, once sharp, begins to rust in the reign of approval. You cannot lead effectively while begging for affection. Respect and approval seldom share the same table. Consider the monk who governs no land yet commands reverence. He possesses no weapon, no army, no law, but his presence disciplines hearts. Why? Because he lives by principle without compromise. The world respects consistency even when it disagrees with it. To rule, you must become a principle embodied, a pattern of certainty in a landscape of confusion. When people know what you stand for, they may not love you, but they will depend on you. Even betrayal has its uses. The ruler who has never been betrayed is untested. Betrayal reveals truth more efficiently than loyalty ever could. It shows where devotion ends and fear begins. It clarifies who serves the throne and who serves themselves. A wise leader uses betrayal as a forge. It burns illusions and hardens resolve. The untested ruler is still naive. The betrayed ruler is finally awake. When Rome decayed, it was not conquered by enemies but by indulgence. Comfort dulled vigilance. Entertainment replaced purpose. They mistook pleasure for peace. Respect evaporates. In abundance it thrives in austerity. The disciplined ruler must resist the softness of luxury, for opulence breeds decay faster than war. Every great civilization begins with courage and ends with comfort. The only antidote is constant renewal of purpose. In diplomacy, as in chess, every concession must purchase advantage. To give freely is to bleed authority. The wise statesman grants favor as one places bait, appearing generous while tightening the net. When the opponent relaxes in gratitude, the game is already over. Generosity is powerful when it creates debt. Give only what strengthens your control. Look closely at the great strategists of history: Bismarck, Metternich, Deng Xiaoping. They understood the invisible art of restraint. They acted not from anger, but from timing. When others demanded reaction, they planned. When others sought glory, they sought position. Power rewards those who see beyond the moment. Impulse wins applause. Patience wins empires. There is a sacred stillness at the heart of command, a cold lucidity that separates the leader from the crowd. The wise ruler does not rule through volume, but through gravity. His calm unsettles those who thrive on noise. His silence becomes prophecy. And when he finally speaks, his words carry the weight of inevitability. That is the culmination of respect, not fear, not admiration, but submission to the logic of your will. So learn from the dead, for they have already paid the price of ignorance. Caesar fell to affection. Richelieu triumphed through indispensability. Catherine ruled through mystery. Alexander commanded through vision. History does not repeat, it instructs. It whispers the same conclusion to those who dare to listen. You may be loved and forgotten, or you may be respected and remembered. The choice is yours, and it is eternal. To stop being liked is to step into the realm of command. It is to shed the fragile skin of approval and wear instead the armor of consequence. Respect does not bloom from charm, it grows from clarity, from unwavering purpose, from the quiet certainty that you do not exist to entertain but to endure. The world does not reward those who wish to be liked. It kneels before those who cannot be ignored. To be liked is to bend with every opinion. To be respected is to remain unbroken before them. When you stop chasing affection, you begin to see truth. You begin to speak without fear, act without hesitation, and lead without apology. You stop softening your edges to fit inside the comfort of others' expectations. You become the standard by which others measure themselves. The dark power of respect lies in its permanence. Love fades when convenience ends. Fear dissolves when the threat passes. But respect, true respect, survives distance, silence, even hatred. It is built not on emotion but on recognition. People may never love you again once you stop pleasing them, but they will remember the weight of your presence, the precision of your words, the inevitability of your will. So let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. Let them curse what they cannot command. You were not made to be liked, you were made to be unshakable. For the world belongs not to the agreeable, but to the inevitable. When the applause fades and the crowd forgets your name, respect will remain cold, silent, and eternal standing guard over everything you built. And that is the dark, unyielding truth of power. Those who dare to stop being liked become the ones who will never be forgotten.